The chamber of the High Concord was built to feel calm. Soft blue light, warm air, quiet music that copied ocean waves from 100 worlds tonight. None of it worked. Salanvar stood behind the last row of seats, his hands locked behind his back like a statue. He was only an archivist, small rank. Safe job, simple duty. Record what the rulers said, and what they did not say. But his throat was dry, because every ruler in the galaxy was here, and they were all watching one screen. On that screen was a single door, a plain human door, made of metal and old paint, inside a small meeting room on a dead moon. A table sat in the center. 3 chairs on one side, 3 chairs on the other. A peace table. It should have been the end. It felt like the start of something worse. The speaker of the Concord, a tall being of bone-white plates and gold rings, lifted a hand. The room fell silent. Begin the feed. The screen zoomed in. The door in the human room did not open. It waited 5 seconds. 10. Selen watched the rulers around him. Some tried to look strong. Some could not hide their fear. A few were angry, like fear was an insult. The Concord had offered peace to Earth 2 days ago. Not because they were kind, because they were losing. The war had started as a simple lesson. The Concord had wanted Earth's trade routes, Earth's rare metals, Earth's shipyards. Humans were new, loud, alone. So the rulers had voted for a short correction. A fleet had gone to Earth, cities had burned, satellites had shattered, oceans had turned gray near the coasts. The Concord had sent an offer afterward. Submit, pay tribute, join the Concord as a controlled world. Humans had answered with silence. Then, 3 months later, a single human ship had appeared at the border. It did not fire a missile, it did not speak, it opened a hole in space like a wound, and something came out that made veteran admirals forget how to breathe. A ship shaped like a dragon, not like art, not like a toy, like a living thing made of black metal and fire-light. It moved without sound. It curved through vacuum like it was swimming in deep water. Its wings were not for air, but for gravity. Its eyes were 2 white stars. The Concord fleet died in 12 minutes. Not one human died with them. After that, human ships came in groups. Every time the Concord tried to strike, a dragon-shaped shadow appeared in the dark, and Concord ships went quiet. That was why the rulers now offered peace. Not because humans had asked, because humans had taken it. Selen remembered the first time he saw the dragon ship feed, how the camera shook, how the admiral whispered, "That is not a ship," and how, behind the dragon's wings, a human carrier drifted like a small child beside a giant. The door on the screen finally opened. 3 humans walked in. No armor, heavy weapons, no helmets. Just dark coats and calm faces. One was older, hair silver, eyes tired. One was young, eyes sharp, hand close to his pocket. The third was a woman with a simple braid and a scar along her jaw. She moved like someone, who had stopped fearing death a long time ago. She took the center chair. She looked at the camera, as if she knew the rulers were watching. Selene's skin went cold. The speaker leaned forward. "Identify." A translator drone near the screen hummed, and the woman's voice filled the chamber. "Captain Mira Cade," she said. Her words were slow and clear. "Simple. Earth's defense. Human diplomatic corps. I am here for your peace offer." A ruler with long insect limbs clicked its mouth. "She does not bow." Another ruler hissed. "They still think they are equals." Selen did not speak, but he thought, "They are worse than equals now." The speaker's voice went through the channel. "Captain Cade, the High Concord offers peace, an end to hostilities, trade, borders, safety." Captain Cade's face did not change. "Good," she said. "We came to hear the full offer." The speaker signaled. A Concord envoy in the human room stood beside the table, holding a crystal pad. On it were numbers, terms, and promises. Reparations, minimal apologies, none borders, controlled Earth would be protected. Under Concord law. It was submission with softer words. Selen watched Captain Cade read it. Her eyes moved across the lines like a blade. When she finished, she placed the pad down gently, like it was fragile. Then she looked up. "No," she said. One small word. It hit the chamber like a shockwave. The speaker's plates tightened. "You refuse peace." Captain Cade held the speaker's gaze through the camera. "We refuse your version of peace," she said. "We refuse your story. You came to our home. You killed our people. You called it a correction. Her voice stayed calm, but something heavy sat behind it, like a storm behind a door. "We're not corrected," she continued. "We're not owned. We're not your lesson." A ruler barked. "Then what do you want?" Captain Cade did not answer. Right away, she tapped the table once. A small device on her wrist lit up. The feed showed a second screen inside the human room. A star map appeared. Red marks burned across it. Dozens, hundreds, Concord shipyards, Concord fuel depots, Concord command, wounds, Concord palace stations, targets, SELEN. Heard someone in the chamber whisper. "They mapped everything." Captain Cade spoke again. "You offered peace because you are afraid you should be." The speaker tried to sound firm. "Captain Cade, this is not how diplomacy works." She nodded once. "We learned your diplomacy." She leaned forward. "Here is ours." The map zoomed in on one red mark. A Concord shipyard that built dreadnoughts. 3 hours from now, she said, that shipyard will be gone. The chamber exploded in noise. Rulers shouting. Guards shifting. Drones moving. Cylon's hands clenched so hard his fingers hurt. The speaker raised both arms. Silence. It took effort, but the chamber quieted. The speaker's voice was cold now. "That is a threat." Captain Cade shook her head. "Slow. That is a schedule." Then she did something that made Selen's breath stop. She turned her head slightly, as if listening to someone in the room with her, but there was no one there. The young Huon beside her looked down, like he also heard something. The older man's eyes closed for half a second, like he was tired of the sound. Captain Cade spoke softly, not to the camera. "Not yet," she said. "Wait." Selen stared. "Wait, for what?" The Concord chamber did not see it at first. Then the lights flickered just once, a tiny change. Like the room itself blinked. The security drones spun in the air. Scanning, Selen felt a pressure in his ears as if gravity was shifting. One ruler screamed, "Shield the chamber." Too late, the main screen behind a peace table feed suddenly changed. It showed a view of space outside the Concord. The station's external cameras. The stars were there, sharp and still. And behind them, something darker than space moved. It did not reflect light. It swallowed it, a shape unfolded like a shadow, learning to be solid. Wings, a long spine. A head with horns that looked carved from night. To bright eyes open, white burning. Calm. A dragon. Not a picture, not a symbol. A real thing in the void. Wrapped around the Concord's capital station like a patient hunter. Selen heard rulers gasp, choke, pray. The dragon did not roar. It simply looked at the station, and every sensor alarm in the room went wild. The speaker's voice shook. How is that here?" Captain Cade's voice came through again, steady as stone. "You kept asking where we found them," she said. "You kept telling yourselves we built them." She leaned back in her chair. "We didn't." Selen could not look away from the dragon's eyes on the external feed. They were not angry, they were not wild, they were aware. Captain Cade continued. "When you burned our cities, you broke more than buildings. You broke our rules. We had rules, even in war." She lifted her hand and showed her palm. On it was a small mark, like a brand shaped like a curled flame. "Our people ran," she said. "We hid. We fought with scraps. Then we found a door." Selen felt his bones turn cold. "A door?" the speaker asked. Captain Cade nodded. "In deep space," she said. "In a dead zone where sensors fail. A place your maps called empty." Her eyes narrowed. It wasn't empty. The feed shifted. Captain Cade played a recording. Human ships drifting through black fog. Strange lightning crawling across nothing. A ring of stone and metal the size of a moon, floating with no orbit. And inside the ring, a glow, like fire behind glass. Then a sound came through the speakers, low and rough, like mountains scraping. A human voice, not a machine voice, a voice that felt ancient. "Who bleeds so far from home?" The Concord chamber froze. Selen's hands trembled. He wrote the words automatically, because that was his job, but his mind screamed, "That voice is real." The recording showed humans in suits, standing at the edge of the ring, their small lights shaken. Captain Cade spoke over the recording. "We thought it was a trap. We thought it was a weapon." Her eyes stayed on the camera. It was a prison. The recording showed the glow shift, forming into a huge shape behind the ring, like a beast sleeping behind a door. Captain Cade's voice went softer. "We were desperate," she said. "We were angry. We were broken." She paused. "And the thing in that prison was older than your Concord, older than your laws." The speaker whispered, almost to itself, "The first flame." Some rulers backed away, like the name alone could bite them. Selen had heard old stories, child tallies, band tallies about space dragons that lived in gravity wells, about beings that ate suns and guarded the dark roads between worlds. Nobody serious believed them, until now. Captain Cade lifted her chin. We didn't free it by force, she said. We didn't control it with chains. She looked down at the mark on her hand. We made a deal. The chamber went silent. A deal with a myth, Captain Cade continued. It asked why we bled so far from home. We told it the truth. We told it you came for our resources, for our shipyards, for your pride. Her eyes hardened. It listened. The external camera feed showed the dragon outside the Concord station. Moved slyly, not a full motion, just a slow flex of its wings. The station creaked. Alarms screamed louder, Captain Cade said. It did not like what it heard. The speaker's voice was thin. So you unleashed it on us. Captain Cade's mouth tightened. Unleashed it? No. She leaned forward again. We offered it something. Selen felt the room lean with her. We offered it a fight, she said. A real fight. A hunt worth its time. She pointed at the map of red marks. We offered it your war engines, she said. Your fleets, your weapons, your command worlds. The insect ruler croaked. And what did it offer you? Captain Cade's answer came fast. Time, she said. A shield, a road through the dark, and a promise. Selen swallowed. A promise, the speaker asked. Captain Cade stared into the camera like she could see each ruler's face. It promised, she said, that if we chose justice instead of mercy, it would stand with us. The speaker's plates rattled. Justice? You call this justice? Captain Cade's voice stayed calm, but it cut. You killed our children, she said. You burned our hospitals. You fired on escape ships. She tapped the pad again. A new file opened. Footage. Earth streets, smoke bodies. A school building collapsed. A human hand reaching out from rubble. Small and still, Selen heard a sob from somewhere in the chamber. Captain Cade's eyes did not blink. This, she said, is what you did while offering order. Then the feed cut back to her face. She breathed once. We came to the table because we did not want to become monsters, she said. We came to see if you could admit what you did. The speaker lifted its chin. We regret. Collateral loss. Captain Cade's expression turned colder. Wrong words, she said. The older man beside her finally spoke. His voice was quiet, like a teacher. Captain, he said, tell them the terms. Captain Cade nodded. She placed a new pad on the table. Here is our piece, she said. On the pad were terms. Reparations. Massive. Measured in food, medicine, ships, and years of labor. Apologies. Public. Clear. Spoken on every Concord channel. Trials for the rulers and admirals who ordered strikes on civilians. Borders. Free. Earth. Independent, armed, and not under Concord law. Disarmament. The Concord's dreadnought program shut down. And one final line. Any refusal will be treated as continued war. The speaker stared at the pad like it was poison. This is humiliation, it said. Captain Cade's voice was almost gentle. No, she said. This is survival. Selen watched the rulers. Faces change. They had expected humans to beg for peace. They had expected humans to bargain. They had not expected humans to bring a dragon to the capital and place terms on the table like a judge, a smaller ruler. One Selen knew was new and unsure. Asked if we accept. Will you stop? Captain Cade looked at the external feed again. The dragon's eyes stayed open. Steady. She spoke slowly. We will stop when the debt is paid, she said. We will stop when you cannot do this to anyone again. The speaker's voice sharpened. And if we refuse, Captain Cade's eyes lifted. Then you will learn, she said, why humans did not die out in a harsh world. The chamber shook suddenly. Not from weapons, from pressure. The external feed showed the dragon outside. The station opened its mouth. No fire came out instead. Space itself bent. A thin line of white light formed, pointed away from the station light. The dragon was showing it could strike, but chose not to. A warning. Selen felt his knees weaken. The speaker swallowed. What is its name? Captain Cade's lips pressed together. She calls herself Ashgate, she said. She was locked behind a ring for a long time. She remembers who built that prison. The speaker's plates went pale. You freed an enemy of the old makers. It whispered. Captain Cade nodded. Yes. The insect ruler clicked in. Fear. Why would it help you? Why not eat you? Captain Cade looked almost tired. Because we did not come to her as masters, she said. We came as hurt people. We came with truth. She glanced at the mark on her palm again. And because humans are strange, she added, when we love something. Selen blinked. Love, Captain Cade continued. We love our children. We love our friends. We love our home. A voice rose. For the first time, not loud, but full. And when you hurt what we love, she said, we do not forget. Silence filled the chamber. Then, from the external feed, a new sound came through deep and low, like thunder inside metal. Ashgate spoke, not through the human room, through the station itself, through every speaker, every wall, every bone in every ruler's body. They offered me honor. Selan's pen slipped from his fingers. He offered the mash. The dragon's voice was slow, like it had all the time in the universe. Choose. The speaker stared at the screen. We will not be threatened by a beast. Ashgate's eyes narrowed, and the station lights dimmed again. I am not a beast, Ashgate said. I am a door. Selen did not understand, and he did. The dragon was not only a weapon, it was a path, a way for human fleets to appear anywhere, anytime, like shadows stepping through cracks. The rulers had been thinking in lines and borders. Humans had found a way to bend the map. Captain Cade watched the rulers struggle. We did not come to wipe you out, she said. We came to make sure you never vote for a short correction again. The speaker's voice was strained. If we accept your terms, what becomes of the Concord? The older human finally spoke, again, calm and clear. It becomes smaller, he said, and safer. You will still exist. You will still trade. You will still build. He paused. But you will not hunt young worlds anymore. Selen saw a truth that made him sick. This was not only revenge. This was a shift of power. Humans were not asking to join, they were forcing the Concord to change or break. The insect ruler whispered, we can't win. A proud ruler snapped, we can fight. Then the screen changed again. Captain Cade showed a live feed. A Concord shipyard, one of the red marks. A human drone floated nearby. Recording in the distance, a dragon-shaped shadow opened a narrow, wound in space. Human ships came through, silent and tight in formation. No warning shots, no speeches. They fired at the shipyard's core clean. Exact. The shipyard broke apart in slow, bright pieces. Selen watched the rulers' faces turn gray. It was not random death. It was controlled destruction. A message. We can reach your throat. We can also choose where not to cut. Captain Cade's voice stayed simple. That was your first reminder, she said. We told you the time. The speaker's hand shook. Stop this. Captain Cade's eyes stayed on the camera. Sign, she said. Or it continues. The chamber fell into chaos again, but this time it was not anger, it was fear with math behind it. They knew the numbers. They knew their fleets could not guard everything. They knew the dragon could sit on their capital station and still open doors across the galaxy. Selen watched the speaker lower its head by a fraction, a bow, almost too small to see. We will review your terms, the speaker said. We will, Captain Cade cut in, still calm. No, she said. Now, the speaker snapped. You cannot, Ashgate spoke again. Quiet, deadly. Now. The lights in the chamber dimmed so far that only the screens in the ruler's eyes remained bright. Selen's heart hammered. The speaker looked around at the other rulers. Some nodded fast, some stared at the floor, some looked like they wanted to run, but there was nowhere to run from a dragon in space. The speaker turned back to the camera. We accept the trials, it said, voice bitter. We accept reparations. It paused, like each word tore something out of it. We accept Earth's independence. Captain Cade's face did not soften. And the public apology? She asked. The speaker swallowed. We will broadcast it. Captain Cade nodded once. And disarmament. The speaker's jaw plates trembled. We will halt the Dreadnought program. Captain Cade leaned back. Good, she said. Then we have the start of peace. A ruler shouted. So you got what you want. Captain Cade's eyes flicked toward the sound, like she could see through the screen. What we wanted, she said, was for you to never come. Her voice dropped. But you did. Silence again. Captain Cade reached into her pocket and placed a small object on the table. A simple human coin. Metal. Scratched. Old. On Earth, she said, we have a saying. You break it, you buy it. She pushed the coin forward. You broke our world, she said. Now, you pay. The speaker stared at the coin, confused by its smallness. Then the older human spoke softly. That coin, he said, came from a child's pocket. Captain K did not blink. A child who died, she said, in a city you struck. She tapped the coin. We keep small things, she said. We remember. Selin felt something twist inside him, fear. Yes, but also something else. Respect, not for vengeance, for focus. Humans were not raging animals. They were cold, clear, and loyal to their dead. Captain Cade stood. The two men stood. With her, she looked once more at the camera. You will sign, she said. You will pay. You will stand trial. She pauses. And you will live. The speaker's plates lifted. Why spare us? Captain Cade's answer was simple. Because if we kill you all, she said, we become you. She turned toward the door. Then she stopped. She spoke one last line without looking back. But do not mistake restraint for mercy, she said. We learned to restrain the hard way. The humans walked out. The door closed. The feed ended in the Concord chamber. Nobody spoke for a long time. The external feed still showed Ashgate wrapped around the capital station, watching like a guardian and a threat at once. Selene finally picked up his pen again. His hands were shaking so hard he could barely write. The speaker sank into its seat. A ruler whispered, we should have ended them when we had the chance. Another whispered back, we tried. Selene looked at the dragon's eyes on the screen. He thought of Earth, small, loud, stubborn, finding a door in the dark, speaking to a myth, and coming back with the galaxy's oldest fear as an ally. He thought of Captain Cade's calm voice. We remember, and he understood the true horror that it filled the rulers' hearts. That Concord had offered peace as a leash. Humans had answered with justice, as a blade. And behind them, the dragon did not look like a pet. It looked like a partner. Ashgate's voice rolled through the station one last time. Soft and low, almost pleased. They do not beg. They do not bow. They burn, and they build. The rulers sat in silence, forced to face a new truth. Peace had been offered. Humans had chosen vengeance first, so peace could mean something afterward, and in the record Selin wrote that night he used the clearest words he could, because history deserved no fancy lies. The galaxy had tried to teach humans a lesson. Humans had returned with the dragon and rewrote the rules.